What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Sports Jedi Network. Let's talk a whole week of pro wrestling here. We are sponsored by Dude Wipes, and the Sports Jedi Network. Wiping out the competition, stay fresh, fight dirty. All right, everyone, let me introduce my partner in crime for this week. Always my co-host, my partner, the one and only PGA Chris. Buenas tardes, mi amigo.
¿Cómo está? ¿Cómo está? I'm ready here. We had a great, week of pro wrestling. Yesterday was a fire night. Everybody's talking about that. There's gonna be a little bit of different format today, but it's gonna be really good. We're gonna have a really good discussion. Still get into every little thing, but I think we gotta start with what's hot. So I'm excited to talk to you guys about everything.
Absolutely. Let's talk about what's hot, man. It was the night in Chicago where, all started off at Monday Night Raw in Paris. Ooh, wee, wee. Of course, with the slap that opened Pandora's box into the opposite. We saw Becky Lynch slapping CM Punk, taking, to me, a little cringy because a little liberty to the face when it comes to CM Punk. It was dramatic. It made its point, and we even saw it on Friday Night SmackDown leading to it, where all the speculation all entire week speculating, will she not show up? Maybe not. Is Rhea Ripley the one that's going to be Punk's partner to address the women's intercontinental title? But the best, the worst, so the best kept secret. I think everybody had about an 80% chance knowing it was going to be AJ Lee showing up in Chicago. First and foremost, great way of the build, the anticipation. They sold out almost that building, 16,000 plus on a Friday night in Chicago at the Allstate Arena in Rosemont. Phenomenal job there. They packed the place. They got what they wanted. They got AJ Lee. Great to see her come out. Looks like she didn't change one bit. Your thoughts on that, Chris, where the AJ Lee speculation and the build, I think they did a phenomenal job. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I think they did a great job doing this build. I actually had a conversation with somebody today, in my own time about this match possibly main eventing Wrestle Palooza over the Cena and Lesnar match. Because I think the story is just a little bit more interesting. I think it's one of the most, if not the most interesting story in the entire company right now, especially with what took place yesterday. And I think they did a good job of doing that, starting with Becky Lynch, causing CM Punk that match. I think Becky Lynch kind of allying herself and, coming out there in disguise. That was kind of like, okay, like there is some possibility AJ Lee could come back because, we know Punk isn't going to hit a woman. I thought, and they also did a good job in this build by teasing Rhea Ripley, because there is a world that, and I'm one of those people that didn't think AJ was going to come back. I'm telling you, I thought we were going to get Rhea Ripley. They did a good job of still not letting us fully think, at least some people fully think it was AJ. They tried at least to, keep it, unpredictable, even though everybody already knew AJ Lee was gonna be there. And then obviously her hitting Punk, not just two nights, but again last night. I think that obviously AJ, nobody's gonna want to come out there, and I think nobody should have came out there, but her husband. But someone's beating up on her husband. Obviously, she should be the one out there to kind of even the odds out there. And the crowd reacted great. Punk looked really happy to see her back, in her element, after gone for so long. And I don't think this is going to be a one-off. I think, she's still going to be there at the Wrestle Palooza. There's rumors online that she signed a multi-year deal. So her and Punk are going to be traveling together with Larry. So that's cool. They don't have kids. They just had the dog. So this is going to be good for both of them. I think, it's going to be something fun. Now there's some good matches that, AJ Lee could have in the future. And I think we all know, right? Roxanne Perez is the one. Obviously other females, but Roxanne's really the one people are talking about. I want to see that match too. So good job by building the AJ Lee return. It's going to make a great match at Wrestle Palooza. You have the husband and wives, teaming up, going against each other. They do a good job of still playing the story. And we haven't heard from AJ, and I'm sure we will, whether it's on Raw, if they want to showcase her on Netflix. because when it comes to like Punk and certain wrestlers, right? It's cool for them to go to brand, because they're a big star, so it's a bigger attraction. So I think if she goes on Raw and cuts a promo or something with Seth or Becky or something, I think that's gonna get a lot of people talking too, because like Becky said, right? She talked about when you were gone, my husband, me. There's probably some, personal things out there that they could play in the storyline. Obviously, AJ probably has so much to say, not just about her return and her, her being gone, but about the whole CM Punk and uh, Seth situation that maybe she hasn't said that we get to hear for the first time. So there's a lot of things with AJ Lee coming back that I want to see, I want to hear, and I think the match at Wrestle Palooza is going to be fucking phenomenal.
I'm glad you mentioned something that in your statement that I want to piggyback on and touch upon. This is something where it's time to say enough with the brand split. Like certain wrestlers are exclusive. I think certain titles, championships should stay brand exclusive, but the competitors, we need now cut the crap of a Raw talent versus a SmackDown talent, whatever the case is. If you want to do that, maybe at the end of the year and we're not even doing a War Games where you have brand versus brand anyway. It's more just get everyone
the hottest
together.
Storyline, whatever. Correct. Hot storylines going on right now. That's basically,
and that's for War Games. So we have to ask that question. Enough with the brand split. Enough with the stuff. It's not really working because last night was one of the most compelling SmackDowns in about months because we were talking, because even when we tried a 3-hour SmackDown, it was not that great.
No,
it was, and it wasn't, and then it was still lollygagging. It was still not captivating television, and you had to bring in some Monday Night Raw talent into Friday Night SmackDown last night to even get. And I'm waiting for the numbers for the ratings, but it was just by the crowd reaction and the online engagements. It looked like it was a really, really successful Friday Night SmackDown. Must watch for a Friday night in September. So with that being said, we have to ask that question. Enough with this brand split because, like you said, we want to hear from AJ Lee. Probably we're going to hear about it in Milwaukee on Monday Night Raw. I believe Monday Night Raw is in Milwaukee, if I'm not mistaken. Not that far from Chicago, just up a little, couple hours away or whatever. I don't know the geographic drive time from where they live to wherever it's going to take place in Milwaukee. But here's one thing. She did sign her contract. It's all over social media with Paul Levesque. She's signing. And then you get the famous point with the husband and wife for Paul Levesque in the middle. When they see that merchandise royalty check, yeah, they're about to make some more money, serious money. And if you're in this, you're here to make money. So Punk, AJ, they're going to make money. They're going to have merchandise sales. People want to see her. They're craving. They're cramming. Just when you thought WWE, what the hell could they do to get you to want more? Well, now you have John Cena's farewell tour, and we'll get into him in a second. We have now AJ Lee back in the company alongside of her husband, CM Punk. Now WWE ticket becomes even a more. I gotta be there. I gotta see those moments. Now it's a must watch. Now they're justifying those price tags because they're giving you these hot commodities to go see. And then this. I guess I'm gonna say this for the first time. I understand why they removed the house shows because now you want to be at these big events like a Wrestle Palooza, like a Survivor Series. Or the Saturday night's main event because that's the last time you're going to see Cena. Now you're going to see AJ Lee on the card now, and let alone so many others that they're going to continue. Now, I do agree with some of the people that have been reviewing it and say different things. They need to follow up television and make television week to week compelling. Not rely on your laurels on the premium live events to people to draw and grow because that didn't work that's not working for All Elite Wrestling. You have to follow up and be creative with the WWE television week to week, since you're live almost four out of the 7 days a week on all across the brand. So hopefully we can see that, Chris. I'm like you said, I want to see AJ Lee, Roxanne Perez. Don't rush it. Give me a storyline.
No, and they're not going to. I don't think they are. I think they're going to obviously drag this out. She'll probably have another program with Becky, and then she can do that in the future. Where something happens where Roxanne comes out with her talking or something in the future, but there's still going to be a lot to do with AJ and Becky. I still think I think they're gonna have their one-on-one after WrestlePalooza. Hell, probably even for the Intercontinental Championship. So I
I'm
think
glad you mentioned that, Chris.
I think they're going to do certain things before they get to Roxanne. That match, I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't happen in 2025. So
Now I want to hold the pin on 1 second, Chris. When you just mentioned that one-on-one, because later in the week, and I'm gonna bring it in because I don't want to sound like I'm jumping all over the place because I want to stay on WWE. I know that AJ Lee returned yesterday, and she grabbed the Intercontinental title for the women's, and she never said she was challenging her though for that title yet. But if people speculate that leads down the road, is there a storyline in place for that title match?
Yeah, especially if AJ Lee pins Becky at WrestlePalooza. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. That first off, that automatically should get her a championship opportunity because she pins the champion. And like her Becky going out there in the crowd and saying, "Stop cheering for somebody, it doesn't work here." Well, I work here now. I'm back. They could really do it. She could AJ kind of like what Nikki Bella thing, right? Where Becky's like, "You're gone," and I kind of stepped up and took yours. Like they could go that route. They could do so many things. They can involve their husbands, and they can still involve the animosity between their husbands because again, they're one when you're that affects them too. That all that crap that goes on with Punk and Seth affects them. And they can even use that. There's so many things that they could use to build this up. Absolutely.
And that is called storytelling. Either long-term, that's a long-term storytelling. Am I correct?
A very long-term, a much long-term. Yeah.
But it's a storytelling. It's storytelling, right? Correct?
Oh, absolutely. It's great storytelling.
All right. That reason why I emphasize and I bring that is because we saw later in the week in another company where another person comes out of left field and interject themselves and they stake a claim at a title match where the online community is going bananas. Why should they, and people like to compare with the tribalism, why certain person comes back and they get a title match, but we're going to leave a pin on that because we want to stay in WWE. But I want you guys to remember that when we talk about it in a few minutes about it, because that's why I wanted to emphasize and make these points. Let's wrap this up. AJ Lee returned. Good to see her. Here's one thing I got to say. I think when I mentioned there was like 80% of us knew that AJ Lee was returning. I think we all knew that. I think it was but we still wanted to see it with our own eyes. We all had that Thomas syndrome. Thomas in the Bible didn't believe that the Messiah was there unless he had to touch him. He said, "Here, touch my wounds," and you know the story. If you read the Bible, you read the Bible. And they need to see it for themselves. I understand that, but the online fake reaction videos of her coming out like you were surprised. Come on, dude. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Stop the fake reaction. I understand the tears and the crying. I get it because you know what? You get emotional. You get wrapped up to see that person on screen. You know what they went through. The tears. I'm not going to, but stop it. That was all force. You know what? You might as well give a banana to a fucking monkey and see them react because you would have got a more genuine reaction. Seriously.
No, you're right because again, I'm one of those people that didn't think she was going to come back until I saw it. But I'm not gonna I understand the tears because I'm the age where AJ Lee was the shit when I was 13, 12 years old or whatever. Like it's great to see. I can understand if you get emotional about seeing her return. That's with anybody, especially if they're gone for 10 years. Like that guy in Chicago that got clowned by crying for Punk's return in AEW, bro. That's he wasn't the only one in that building. He just happened to be the only one get caught on camera. So that's fine. But to sit there and act like you are genuinely surprised that she's back, excuse my language, but get the fuck out of here with that shit. You're trying to get on TV. You're trying to have Netflix pay you out there for front row seats. You're just trying to get something. You're trying to get noticed. You don't sit here and do the reviews and actually sit here and talk about what you see. You sit in front of a camera and react to.
And by the way, my guy wears his hat backwards too, just because he's not redheaded, and you send his ass to the front row seats too, man. My guy loves the product as well. He doesn't force his reaction.
Hell no.
Send him. The guy, dude, his video. I'm going to use him. I hate to single him. Bro, the video hasn't even started. I watched it. I said, let me look at this stupidity. We knew that Punk is talking, and we know he's about to announce it. He's already gearing up. He's already gearing up with the fakeness. Oh, come on, man. Stop with the fucking acting, bro. We knew she was coming out. Just relax, calm, cool. Oh shit. Can't even give you that genuine reaction. I've done a reaction video with Mike Santana and stuff like that, reacting. I get excited for Mike Santana. Everyone know I'm we are uber passionate Mike Santana fan. And matter of fact, I'm a fucking represent Mike Santana. Let's go. From the Bronx. Let's go. We are Mike Santana fans. Huge Mike Santana fans. We do get excited, but come on. We knew you could see our video. We knew Santino was going to announce Santana as the main event. We didn't go gearing up like a we genuinely reacted when we heard it. Like, yeah, let's go. That's simple.
Yeah,
simple.
No, again, they do it for. I understand why people don't respect their content.
JD hates it. JD,
I understand why JD hates their content, bro. Because it's like, I'm not just I'm not just gonna use AJ Lee. They do it with everybody. But last night, I've never seen it that everyone is doing it for last night. I'm like, they've been chanting this girl's name for 3 fucking weeks on Monday Night Raw, and you're going to tell me you had no clue that she was going to come out last night, or at least, and again, if you're like me who didn't think she was going to come back, you're not surprised though. I'm not, because it made sense. To me, it's one of those things. I'm not sure if AJ wants it. If AJ wants it, then fine. I don't know if she does or not. Obviously, that's just speculation from a fan. But I'm not sitting here and marking out because I'm not surprised. I'm surprised. Yes, I'm surprised she's there, but I'm not surprised in the sense that how they built this up. And Punk's Instagram stories, I mean, I'm not that surprised. I'm just surprised she's actually agreed to go on their program, if that makes any sense.
It makes total sense. I agree with you. That's why I'm like, come on. I understand it. Again, you know what? Enough with that. We gave them enough exposure. They got they're going to get plenty of 15 minutes of fame on Netflix on Monday. They're going to show the clips, all of them, all this and that. You know what? You got your 15 minutes of fame. Fine. Go for it. Have at it. Let's move on here in something that, speaking about spotlights, and I think it's a redhead shit. I swear to God. We had John Cena farewell tour, a final time on SmackDown, opens up the show on Friday night. By the way, hell of a fight, hell of a match with Logan Paul that doesn't get talked about much. Or it is, but that should be match of the year contender for John Cena.
Logan Paul, they're not going to put it in that category.
Holy shit, that match was great with them and coming off of that great. I did not think when John Cena came out to say goodbye in the Rosemont in Chicago that we were going to get John Cena wrestle back in a 1 week span, back to back. John Cena comes out, talks about his memories at Chicago where they, walking out there challenging Kurt Angle, where the U.S. Open challenges open up. But here, lo and behold, comes out Sami Zayn to want to chase the hug, piggyback to the Mamora, the little fish that hangs on the shark that sucks all the crap, all the bacteria. That's him on the John Cena Love Fest. But Chicago wasn't having it. They see through your bullshit, man. Your hug chasing. They booed the shit out of you. I don't want to hear about people say no, and then they want to say, what's all the Sami Zayn hate? Bullshit. The guy's hug chaser. He's an opportunistic. He this is what I don't like him. You're a hell of a wrestler, but the way you try to shoehorn yourself in, you're like a fucking thong that wants to slip in between 2 butt cheeks. That's what he is. Chris, I saw that with Sami Zayn. I was like, come on, man, let the man have
thought of you when I saw that. I thought of you right away. I was like, Kev does not like. I know he's somewhere. Look, I don't like Sami Zayn because he's fucking stale. He does the same shit every day. He's been doing it for the last 7 years. Since he walked out on Monday Night Raw against Cena, he's been the same Sami Zayn. Nothing's changed. He had his fun little time in the bloodline, whatever. That was funny, but it's not. Nothing's changed. he's still that corny baby face. I don't know why a lot of people like him. I generally don't. And I give him his props. I've said this so many times. Sami Zayn does not have a bad match, and it's impossible to have a bad match with Sami Zayn. He's phenomenal in the ring, but he's boring. He's the same Sami Zayn I've seen for the last 7 years. Nothing's changed. And then chasing the hug. I mean, I understand, right? Him going out there and saying, okay, you did this for me right here. I can understand that, kind of let me pay it back. But the match, I don't know. I think Brock Lesnar saved this match by going out there and causing the DQ.
You think so?
I don't know. Because you don't want Cena to lose to Sami Zayn on SmackDown. I know. I sure as hell you wouldn't like that.
No, I got you.
We know we know John Cena's not winning the U.S. title. So
I thought he did. Be honest with you, I'm gonna be totally fucking honest with you. Look, I thought he did. I thought, you know what? I think John Cena is gonna win the United States title and then drop it to Sami Zayn at the end of this run. And of course, we're gonna talk about that in a second here after we move on for this segment where that match is going to take place. But I said, you know what? It kind of makes sense because they're shoehorning Sami Zayn, they're force feeding Sami Zayn where Royal Rumble is going to be in Saudi Arabia. He plays to that crowd. One day he's Arab, one day he's French Canadian, one day he's Scottish Irish, Scottish redhead, whatever he is, the comedian. One thing that he's a little bit of everything. So I was like, you know what? Sami Zayn beats John Cena at the end, and then you're building him for a Rumble, yada yada. So I said John Cena might win the title, but then I was like, ooh, but I'm gonna have a reaction if they do that. And they're not a negative, a lot to say. So I thought John Cena was actually going to win the United States title. The match was great. Don't like the antics of how he gets involved in there. But I thought the match was fucking awesome. I gotta give that
absolutely. I thought the match was great, and I liked Brock Lesnar kind of going out there. I liked it. It got the crowd going. The crowd, if obviously AJ's the pop of the night, but Brock Lesnar, that was a loud reaction. I mean, him going out there, him getting the pyro, it's hard not to, when you hear that, it's hard for me at least not to get hyped. I don't know. Something about Brock's entrance gets my adrenaline going. I want to see this guy beat someone's ass. I love it. And again, him going after Cena makes perfect sense. Now my only question and my only, I guess, what I would want them to do, I want these guys to go in a ring, get a microphone, and talk to each other. Enough with Brock Lesnar just going out there and F5ing Cena. He's done that twice now. I need these guys to have a face-to-face, kind of like how CM Punk and Cena, like Orton and Cena. They don't got to do it, all the time. But at least the Monday or Friday before Wrestle Palooza, you got to give me a face-to-face.
Right. We saw Brock Lesnar knock out the referee, of course. Then F5 Sami Zayn. Another F5 on John Cena. So John Cena 2 weeks in a row has not put no offense, or 2 interactions in a row has not put any offense against Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar with the smile goes into Gorilla, which is recorded, and says, "See you at Wrestle Palooza." Calls him the bitch. A word. I guess he's been watching a little Okada clips while he's been away. But he says, calls him a bitch. Now Friday Night SmackDown next week, it is announced we're going to see Brock Lesnar. Now we want to know everyone's question. Why is Brock Lesnar? Why did you choose now to come back and the last tour with John Cena that you're out there to attack him? And what's your mission statement? Why you want to go hell bent to break John Cena? Is it, so it's because he was the face of the company where you were trying to never got to that plateau or whatever? We want to hear the reason why. An explanation. I think we're going to get it on Friday Night SmackDown.
Yes.
Now, Yes, I think we're getting that, Chris. As for Sami Zayn and John Cena, when I thought, this is my reasoning, when I thought John Cena might have won that, John Cena might win that United States title. He has the United States title. He's going to wrestle because earlier in the day is reported that on the 17th is John Cena's last Boston tour. It's not his last match, but his last appearance in Boston, Madison Square Garden. His last match is taking place at the nation's capital in Washington because they outbid Boston for that opportunity. It's the other way around where other companies are paying the local bingo hall to put their products in there for residency, while the other company, people are paying them to come to their arenas, and they outbidded Boston for John Cena's last match. Now, nation's capital, and I heard this on Cheap Heat, so I want to give the producers and Mosenberg and all of them their props, because we want to make sure where I hear it from, and when we're going to repeat it, we're going to make sure the right people, where at least I heard it from, get it from. They said, nation's capital, United States champion, defended on there with John Cena, Sami Zayn will, last match makes sense for those two beat John Cena's last opponent. Also, and then I started thinking about, like we mentioned a few minutes ago, a month later, they're going to Saudi Arabia, where it builds Sami Zayn for that darling favor to win the Royal Rumble. He goes to WrestleMania against Seth. He's been talking about that he wants a world title matchup. Now, he wins or doesn't win, I don't know. That's up to creative. We don't know that right now. That's too far ahead for us. Right now, we're just enjoying what we see at the moment. What's going on at the present. I thought it made sense, so I'm like, okay, let's see how that goes. But then I said to myself, damn, if Cena wins the United States title, it's not a diminish. Why just not? And we've been saying this since the beginning of the minute the 3 hit for SummerSlam. What was this rush of taking the title for Cena to give it to Cody? And he's not going to be around. He's doing movies. He just had a newborn child. And it's showcase in point. Next week, Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton are going to wrestle one-on-one. And that, it wouldn't surprise if that spilled over to Wrestle Palooza with no outcome or nowhere to go. Did they announce Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre for Wrestle Palooza yet? I don't think they have.
No.
So would that surprise you if they extend it and Wrestle Palooza with a gimmick match or something? Randy versus Drew McIntyre?
I mean, why not? That's a good match for Wrestle Palooza, I think. I think that show is about putting the most well-known names in the company that would be recognizable to the UFC, or excuse me, to the ESPN kind of platform in the audience. Because that's kind of what I talked about earlier with this conversation with a buddy of mine off air. What match could main event Wrestle Palooza? And I'm getting that in a second because they kind of do with this, right? With adding Drew McIntyre and Randy. You have Seth, Punk, Brock, John Cena, Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton. Those are all people that, I know these guys. Randy Orton. Everybody knows who Randy. If you don't know who Drew McIntyre is, you know who Randy Orton. Everybody knows who Randy Orton is. So I think this ESPN show, Wrestle Palooza, at least for this first one, first pay-per-view on their show, they really want to showcase, the biggest stars they have, and I think McIntyre and Orton would fit good in that card.
Overcoat, because then you're gonna pigeonhorn yourself, because if you put Cody and McIntyre and you don't close out with Cody, your undisputed world champion, there's going to be criticism. Like, you didn't even have your you didn't even have your undisputed world champion close out the show. So that's why I'm leaning towards.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yes, because I say that all the time, right? I think your world champion should be the main event. That's me. I feel that way about any promotion, any show. Your men's world champion should be the main event, and that would simply not happen in Wrestle Palooza. So I agree with that.
Not only that, because earlier in the week on Monday Night Raw, you saw that thunderous ovation that Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles got. AJ Styles is on fire right now. Yeah. You hear that, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get that at Wrestle Palooza. AJ Styles versus Dominic Mysterio in some type of a match, where a cage match or something where no interference from Judgment Day. It's just Dominic can run. It's AJ Styles versus Dominic Mysterio. That's also a loaded up card for Wrestle Palooza, because we're gonna have a women's world champion finally crowned between Io Sky and Stephanie Becerra, which was announced on Monday Night Raw. So everyone's looking forward to that. That's another stacked match.
It's going to be a really good match.
So then you have the Intercontinental title on there too.
Why not? Why not? Again, Mysterio automatically is going to get people watching. Oh, this is Ray's kid, if you don't know already. And then if you're not just a WWE fan and you're a fan of pro wrestling, you've heard the name AJ Styles.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so it's gonna be again another great matchup for ESPN to showcase the biggest stars in WWE for their first show. That's another great match to add. Would not bother me.
No, and I think, and that's, you could see it there. Now, the AJ Styles and Dominic has not been added to the card. We're speculating. This is speculatory right now. Nothing. The only one is the women's title and the Brock Lesnar, John Cena. That's the only ones I know right
AJ.
now.
That's not going to get announced, but we know that. I'm not. That's not announced, but we know that's coming.
We haven't. It's not officially.
It's not official. D-Walk in the building. It's not official, but we know the AJ Lee Punk match is happening.
Right. Okay. Yes, the mixed tag match. Yes, at Wrestle Palooza. We know that. So 3 matches so far on this card. That we could say are there, but we're now speculating on the other ones. The Intercontinental title, the men's Intercontinental title. We might see that there and so forth. Interesting enough, we got to see all that from Monday. I love how Monday helped set up must-watch Friday night. I love, listen, one of the mentions on Friday Night SmackDown, what was your thoughts on Aleister Black and Damian Priest?
I don't know if the energy wasn't there because obviously we just saw Cena and with all the Brock, and people are really anticipating getting ready for Becky and to close out the show to get AJ Lee and all that stuff. So maybe the energy just wasn't there, but I don't mind it. I think the feud's starting to maybe get a little bit dragged out. But I still like the idea of those guys having matches together. I like them working together. They both had that same kind of, persona with dark, metal. Like they kind of align, and I like it. I don't know if the matches aren't delivering. I don't know if the crowd just isn't into it. Maybe, I don't know. I personally would like to see Priest in the United States Championship picture. I wanted that when, I wanted him and Jacob. So I think Priest, if he can get after whatever he's done with Aleister, I want him in the U.S. title picture. Maybe Aleister too, but I don't know. Maybe the crowd just wasn't in that match, just with all the things that happened and were going to happen last night.
I'm glad you jogged my memory. This is another reason why I get mad with the Sami Zayn crap. I know I started off saying
and Priest.
And I know I started saying, forget about the brand split. We don't need it no more. Especially, be case in point. Look at this, because we can't hold one thing for standard or another, because Sami Zayn jumped over back again to SmackDown and he became United States champion. Why? There was, it should have been Jimmy Uso or Jacob Fatu. You teased Damian Priest, and Jacob. Like, oh, that's going to be good. I said this on the watch along. Thank God that. And I go, out of all the next matches that's going to follow Cena and Brock, I said, please, for the love, do not put the women's United States title match, please, because it's not fair for Julia, who's trying to establish her on American television. As we know how great she is in New Japan and coming over, and how she did great in NXT. And then poor Meacham, because Meacham is a good hand. Right now, Meacham has fell into that category of being a good hand. And I'm like, please don't put the women. And then when I saw them, I was a little relieved. But then at the same time, I was like, I was not invested in the match. And Damien is one of our guys. He's from the Bronx. He's from Boricua. He's from, we next to Mike Santana. We want to see that matchup between him and Santana. Yeah. I was like, oh, but I couldn't get him. I couldn't get invested. I was like, please wrap this up. It was a match that I was like, I think it was because we were all anticipating that final closing of AJ returning, like you said. And I'm like, man, and you didn't want to be fatigued. And imagine the 18,000 that was in the arena saving themselves. And there were little times they were a little quiet. I thought the match, I said, this match, they're not going to ring the bell. When he came out and attacked Damien, and I was like beating him up, and I'm like, nah, they're going to call this match, save it for another time. They want to cut time because, and I said, maybe they'll go on an overrun tonight on USA Network. They've done it in the past for Raw. I wouldn't mind a 5 to 10 minute overrun, but no, they went with the match. I was shocked. The match was okay. I mean, the placement and the emotion of where it was took me out of it, Chris.
No, I agree. I agree. You can't have Cena and then put that, and then have people, people are there to see AJ Lee at the end of the show. If not that John Cena, and then Brock going out there, that 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 kind of that was their they used all their energy and adrenaline for Brock to come out and Cena and all that. And I think they were just wearing down. And again, it all has to do with them getting ready for what was going on. I think people were so ready and curious to see what was going to happen. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think most people gave two shits about what was going on in between.
And it sucks because those two men didn't deserve that.
I agree.
But that's the nature of the business. Unfortunately.
I agree 100%.
At least listen, I could admit it. I wasn't there, but I respect that they went out there and they told the story with Damian Priest's eyes, kind of looked like he was kind of foggy. He wasn't all there, hit to the head, the kicks, the finish, the table spot, which didn't kind of work on Alistair, but still they worked their asses off. I got to give them credit. Wrong place at the wrong time for their match. Hopefully they continue pepper in more of this to be continued. I'm for it if they go that route. And look, one of the honorable mention segments that Carmelo Hayes wants to talk to Nick Aldis. Now Carmelo Hayes wants to insert himself as a singles, and Miz continues to block him and stump his opportunities. When is that payoff has to come quickly because it's starting to get a little redundant or comedy act, and Carmelo is no comedy act. I can't wait for that to get going where they're split. If they're not going to be tag team and go for tag team titles, go and split that off, get the Carmelo Hayes train running to the right direction. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte, I like the fact that Charlotte says, man, I can't get a break in this town. She has a bum ankle, but they're going back to the Lily doll with a little bit of I don't know if there's a hocus pocus or comedy with Lily. He says Dr. Lily was going to see her there. I understand why Alexa did it because Alexa's a mom. She's, so I appreciate that. All in all, I do want to talk about this comment though. Since we brought up Alexa Bliss, Ronda Rousey. She's been in the news making some colorful comments about her time wrestling with Alexa Bliss. Said the only reason she should have never even been in the ring with her. The only reason why because she sold a lot of merchandise, saying that she was above on Alexa Bliss. Your thoughts, and I got mine. You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Yeah, I'll go because my thoughts are kind of brief. I think Ronda Rousey felt like she was the biggest star in that division because of her name and what she's done previously. I think she felt like Alexa was beneath her. But if you look at the wrestling world at that time, Alexa was one of the main acts. When I liked her putting the title like this, right? One of my neighbors from high school, he would mark out over her because of that. Like, she was great. Her heel promos were great. She was the face of SmackDown Live in the women's division for a little bit before, Becky and Charlotte really got there because, they kind of started off on Raw. I just think it was kind of stupid. It was a stupid comment because Alexa's great at pro wrestling. And it's just one of those things that she probably just felt like the Alexa Bliss was just below the Ronda Rousey when it came to just names and, who's going to get the more attraction. She didn't know in the wrestling world at that time, Alexa was one of the top merch sellers. She was one of the top acts on the show. So I don't think she knew, she definitely didn't watch the product because she would have known that. So I think, I don't know. It was a little bit of a dumb comment.
It was a goofy comment from her pace because she's huge in the world of UFC. What she did for women's combat fighting is Hall of Fame. Seriously, Ronda Rousey for her UFC. There was people in my job, that will say I stood up late watching that Ronda Rousey pay-per-view. Do you watch UFC? No. I just wanted to see her fight. Yeah, she transcended for women's combat sports. Great job. But then you turn into you went into a universe where you're not that person anymore. Yeah. There's others before you that have opened that door and are kicking ass like Alexa Bliss. I thought, she should have said, you know what? We didn't have chemistry at my time with her, at that time when I was coming into where I was at in my wrestling career, I felt I shouldn't wrestle her because, our chemistry wouldn't not match. Left it alone, plain and simple. She just continues to burn bridges to people who don't want to see her ever in a wrestling ring. Look, listen to her reaction coming back and listen to Alexa's reaction coming back at the Royal Rumble. Case in point, the people speaks. Tony, what's going on, Tony? How are you? Tony's in the building.
No,
man.
I agree. There's a lot of people burning bridges.
And Nate in the building.
Ronda, I feel like didn't respect the other wrestlers there just because she was big in the UFC at the time. She was still stepping on new grounds, and that's basically kind of how I feel. She again the name Alexa Bliss and Ronda Rousey. She thought she was here and there, but in terms of pro wrestling, it was really the opposite. So I agree with your comment there. I really do.
I think in the beginning, her name alone sold a lot of tickets, and then once the bell rang. Like, ooh.
She would not. If Ronda Rousey wasn't Ronda Rousey, that main event would have been Charlotte and Becky at WrestleMania 35. That should have been that would have been at that time. That should have been the match to have your first ever main event. They stuck Ronda in there because she was Ronda Rousey.
Because her name sold more tickets.
Her name sold out the stadium. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you on that. And those are the comments there for her. And then, of course, we'll wrap up this SmackDown, which a lot of good stuff there. And for the WWE, seeing Punk, seeing that genuine Punk AJ Lee exchange in the middle of the ring when she jumps on his arms, and of course with embrace with the kiss, that was a cool moment for Punk. He was so happy. Look, this guy 2 years ago, with all whatever situation, whoever's wrong, who cares at this point? But for Punk, he found closure. He's happy now in the wrestling world. He main event WrestleMania. He had a world title return in the company, and now his wife gets to work with his wife. And while Larry, by the way, Booker of the Year, Larry booked it. You see my social media account. He was sitting in the power chair, in the Booker's chair. Larry the dog, phenomenal job. I'm booking the show on Friday night. I kid, but one thing that I don't kid was the stupid comments of Matt Riddle. This guy, look, Riddle, come on, Riddle. You're bad enough. You go around showing your penises to talent like you did to poor Black Daria. You scared her. You go around and you get stupid at the JFK airport. You do all this no show for charity, and then you do this. You come out saying about Punk and AJ Lee. Come on, man. What's wrong with this Riddle, dude? What's wrong with the Riddle?
I don't know what's wrong with Riddle. There's a lot of. I think the funniest shit was, and I could just picture this in my head, where he told the story how he went up to Shane McMahon at Hulk Hogan's funeral because he wanted to say hi. You didn't hear the story? He wanted to say hi to either McMahon or Triple H. Like he wants to get on good terms, right? But he went up to Shane. Shane saw him, and Shane sarcastic because he dyed his hair red, and Shane was like, "Nice hair." And he kind of said it sarcastic, and Riddle just out of nowhere just said, "Go fuck yourself," and then they turned around and walked away. I'm just picturing Shane because in his suit, nice hair. He probably thought he was a clown, like that. Oh yeah. No, in all seriousness though, Matt Riddle, I don't know. I think he's bitter. I think he's maybe a little jealousy that he's maybe not in Punk's situation, or he's I don't know, maybe he's not happy where he's at in his life. He's the face of MLW, so I don't really know why he's but I don't really know why he's bitching too much. He has his own thing going on. As far as the charity stuff and that, if the promoter didn't tell him straight up in the beginning that it wasn't a charity, whatever. But let's just say he did. I don't know. Riddle taking the money for a charity event, I don't think most talent would do that. They would just really say, book me a flight or a bus or something wherever it's at. So I don't know. It's a weird situation. It's just his outside comments don't help him in a situation like this. They really don't. And exactly, nobody's paying attention to Matt Riddle. Now people are because he goes out and says stupid shit, but nobody's talking about this guy. So who really cares what he has to say at this point about anything?
And I gotta say this: were you at the Performance Center to see all this stuff that CM Punk you're accusing Punk of?
No, this all happened before Riddle even got to WWE. And this is all shit that's happened. What, when Punk was in his like 20s or whatever? AJ was like, bro. I mean, let it go. We're in 2025. All this shit that you're probably talking about happened in like between the years of like 2008 and like 2015. And not even, because AJ and Punk were married around that time or a little before. So it's just all bullshit. Matt Riddle's just, he's bitter. He's a bitter dude.
All right. All right. All right. Speaking of bitter, that's the way I felt about NXT Tuesday.
Ugh.
I mean, we watch NXT, and I'm sorry, I live in Orlando, and I say I am NXT. I've gone so many times to the Performance Center back in the 2.0 days for 2 years in a row. Every Tuesday, they're loyal, loved it. I still love the product, but this last Tuesday was a little bit tough for me to watch. We try to get into it. Look, the Ricky Saints OBA FEME spill out there. The whole show was like, I don't know. They felt kind of weird. Thank God for Hank. Yeah, I'm going to say Hank Walker. He was about to get lights out by Dark State, and he called his name. He said Joe Henry, and he appeared. And I don't know, because I have this, this new love and partnership or unofficial partnership with TNA, that we trying to see TNA more. We're keeping our close to the vest with TNA, and we saw Joe Henry, and we felt that representation from TNA there. But the show for Tuesday, I mean, I thought it was like, my goodness, it felt like something's missing with the fire and spunk of NXT. And I'm like, what the hell is it? I mean, you still have OBA FEME as your world champion. Ethan Page wasn't on. He's one of the great things going on with Chelsea and so forth. And I know you have to showcase all the young talent there, but something was off with the whole show, and that's nothing. And this has been now for a couple of weeks, and NXT don't do that. NXT is one of the top compelling shows every Tuesday. One of our favorites. And the last few weeks has been, something's off, Chris. I don't know what it is when it comes to it. I don't know why.
All right. So there's nothing specifically I want to talk about, at least. But I will say this about NXT as a whole, like we're talking about right now. To kind of answer your, in my opinion at least, where you ask what are they missing? I think they're missing that one thing on the show that made it worth watching. Like, I don't know how to explain. Like, OBA FEME, as much as he's great, this might be a hot take. I don't know how, if he, like, when Trick had the NXT, like, he's not selling tickets. He's not putting people in seats as your NXT world champion. Trick, although he's phenomenal, and he is the TNA world title, champion, all of the good stuff he's been doing has been on TNA programming, because he's building up them and Bound for Glory. For example, why the fuck is DIY coming out here in the middle of a Trick Williams promo? What you're telling me these two clowns are gonna challenge for the TNA? No, they're they're missing that one thing on the show that made it worth watching. At least to me, and I don't know what that's going to be. But when your top two names are champions, and Trick Oba, I don't think Oba's really cutting it, and Trick can cut it, but he's really cutting it for TNA right now. And so I it's kind of hard, because again, you don't have. I think Stephanie and Julia were kind of the well over ones in that women's division. Again, the women's division was one of the top women's divisions in pro wrestling. That's kind of been flat, bro. That has kind of been flat recently. I love Last Legend and Jada Parker, but that match was just okay. It wasn't a great match. It was a good match, but now you have Lola Vice as your number one contender, which I like. I think she deserves the opportunity.
Vignettes are good,
and the vignettes are great. Okay, that's good. And then you have Blake Monroe and Jordan Grace. And then JC Jane's still your NXT champion. What's gonna happen when she loses that NXT champion? We're seeing it already now when she lost the NXT the Knockouts champion. Nowhere to be seen. What happens when she loses the NXT one?
And I don't want that.
Mind you, she's on top. I don't want that either, because she's actually grown on me with the Like that's grown on me recently. I'm not going to lie. But what is going to happen when she loses that title to Jordan Grace or Blake Monroe? From what I'm seeing, she's gonna get pushed aside like Fallon Henley when after she lost her American title. So NXT, at least how I'm seeing it's starting to go down a little bit, brother.
Yeah, and here's and Heather makes a good point, because I look, I've seen Lash Legend when Lash Legend broke on to NXT 2.0. I remember the crowd that now they chant her, they love her now. I remember when she first come out and Lash is trash, and I used to get upset. Me and my wife,
They used to chant that?
Yeah, the same people that you see them with the crown or the Burger King hats, and they want to do all this and hijack the show. They were all used to chant Lash was trash. As God is my witness. Now they fake the fakeness. My point is, those two ladies did not put on a really good, strong match. The feud is great. I don't know what they're doing with Jada Parker. I said this once, I'll say it 1,000 times. When I saw Jada Parker make her first house show appearance, I turned to my wife, and I think Terrence was with us, and I said, that girl is going to be a star. She has the mannerisms of a superstar. And I didn't see her really wrestle. Just her introduction, her presentation before she even started, I was like, yo, she's going to be a star. But what Jada Parker needs is a finisher. She needs a finisher. If she's ever going to win any gold in NXT, that hip attack, putting your ass in someone's face, I'm sorry. It's not championship finishing move material. I'm sorry. Your hypnotic can translate to a finishing move. You need a finisher that when you go on the main roster, is going to translate. Yeah, Rikishi did the stink face, but that wasn't his finisher. And Rikishi has a bigger caboose than Jada Parker. You could ask him if he's going to be your future father-in-law. So we don't know about that. So NXT has a lot of great women wrestlers. They do have a lot of great women wrestlers. And the thing is, they know they could do better matches. I know they have a better quality of match between those two ladies. Something was off. Something is going off with, and this is maybe me, Chris. Maybe this is me. Maybe like Heather said, we get invested because I thought Jada Parker should have been the first inaugural North American champion. Kalani, at the time, I didn't feel the right decision, but looking back at it now, she's fucking phenomenal. Kalani Jordan is one of the most phenomenal wrestlers. She grown by leaps and bounds. The title made her even super elevated. I don't know. I'm afraid that they, like you said, Blake Monroe, Jordan Grace. What happens if Brozilla signs with the WWE? What happens if Persephone comes over? Are they going to push these ladies back again to the back, push them back a step, make us take a step back
because they're bringing in? They might be keeping their eye on.
Yeah, that Persephone from CMMLL. They bring her in.
They bring her in champion, too, and they still have AAA talent too that they want to bring in.
She's off their roster.
Oh,
she's off the CMLL roster. I don't know. She's off their roster page. I don't know. Brozilla could be a free agent. There's names out there. There's names out there with these women. Maybe there's some contracts expiring, like Britt Baker. I don't know. We don't know. I'm just saying. What happens if let's just listen to me out before we say, no, it's not true because Corey said this. No, I'm saying just listen to me. Let me speculate. Let's say they were to be free agent tomorrow and they bring them in. Those other ladies that are currently there busting their ass, going up the grapefruit circuit, the coconut circuit for NXT, they get a push back to the line because they're going to bring in these new women. It's a tough one to get. Maybe that's why I can't get invested.
It's going to be the same shit that happened when Stephanie, Julia, and Zarya got there and how Lola, Kalani to an extent, they all kind of
they all took a step back.
They all took a step back.
They all took a step back easily. And then you have these NIL women coming up. You also have the Evolve ladies getting some. We saw Kelly Armstrong.
Kelly, I was about to say, she's, she could be something.
And she looks it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But too soon for her to punk. First and foremost, I didn't appreciate the way she punked out Jordan Grace. Jordan Grace deserves a lot of respect from that locker room. I know it's a segment leading into a match. I personally was like, ugh. I mean, Jordan, first and foremost, Jordan don't belong on NXT anymore. I'm going to be honest with you.
That I agree with.
You could tell by her whole body language, her whole reaction. She doesn't belong in NXT. She belongs already. Put her on SmackDown, sink or swim, go. Because and I know she could swim. She needs to be already. If she's not going to be the face event of your team of your NXT women's division, bring her up already. Blake Monroe, I understand you want to get them through that system. Blake Monroe also another one. But Jordan Grace has to go to SmackDown or Raw. Yeah, she's getting kind of. I'm feeling that she's kind of getting a little buried in NXT, and I think it's before her comments when she said on a podcast that she did not like being all the time in the warehouse or in the performance center in Orlando all the time. It's not that she doesn't like it. It's just the same crowd. She likes traveling. She likes hearing to see how much she can get over with other different crowd and how to work the different and just the traveling and listening to other people's perspective. Didn't go over well, I believe, with the office or the boys or the executives in NXT because they listen. Those coaches, those NXT producers, coaches, they listen. In case in point, one name was Quincy Elliott. Rest in peace, Jones. Quincy Elliott said some stupid comments, and we never heard from him again because one of the NXT coaches, producers, whatever, were hearing it and said he said a lot of stupid shit. He got in some trouble. They listen. They go around. They go to the spaces. They go to the videos. They look to listen for feedback. They have their ears on all the different podcasts, and we're feeling. And I think when Jordan said that, probably got a little heat there for her. And I hope not. I hope she could overcome it because I think she's captivative. I think the first telling sign is when they change her stupid music because you're telling me, because it's a TNA property, you got a working relationship with TNA. Who cares? The Hardys are using the same theme song that they use all over companies. You're telling me you're gonna let Jordan Grace hold on to her theme song? A theme song means a lot because when Jordan Grace music comes on, I don't even know who the hell that's coming out, Chris. Who the hell is this?
The theme song's everything. The theme song's everything, man. That's kind of, Becky for a while. I don't mind her new theme, but sometimes it's, at the beginning at least, it's hard to tell who it is. And they all sound the fucking same. So
they all sound the same.
I don't know. That's a good question that Tony in the chat asked. I don't know why it's such an issue for the wrestlers to keep their music, but it's whatever. I mean, maybe they want it. Maybe they want it because I think Jordan Grace she says something about how you guys don't know me. This is my music taste, blah, blah. But it's like, you don't help yourself. We don't want that.
You think it sounded a little too much like Braun Breaker with the sirens. Braun don't use that no more. Braun's music was different. It used to have a big siren attack in the beginning, but you know what?
Yeah.
She fits the bill as a female Braun. Look at her. She looks like a freaking female Braun Breaker. Why not? I mean, yeah. I understand their names, but the music, come on. I agree with you, Tony. Music makes wrestlers. I said this so many times, and then they're in their promos. Remember, you only make a first impression. And if your first impression is your music, if your first time ever going to a wrestling show, you bring in someone who don't know wrestling, who's been under a rock, and you take them to a show, their first impression is going to be the music. If you hear, like the Ultimate Warrior, you're like, oh, what the hell is that? If you're first time watching it, or the Hogan, the chorus of, or the shattered glass of Stone Cold Steve Austin, those things captivate you. But when you get, at all. Come on.
They all sound the same. They all
sound the same. You don't know who's that? Judgment Day? No, that's Solo. Oh, I thought it was. Yeah, I mean, they all sound the same.
Yeah,
they all sound the same. It's got to give me something there. Got to give me something. I hope they change it. I hope they make a different one. Yeah, prime example. AJ Lee came out to a different song last night. The pop wouldn't have been the same. It would not. See, you had to use the AJ Lee song, "Light It Up." If you didn't have "Light It Up," he was like, "Who the hell is this?" And then have to wait for the reaction for her to come out because she got Def Rebel. Or when I hear voices in my head. Everybody and their mother knows that's Randy Orton. They get excited. Then the little redheaded kid with the hat backwards could get excited because you know who the song is. But when you don't know the name, who the hell's coming out, you don't fake them. So NXT was not that one of my favorite this week. Usually one of my favorite shows. It didn't really. Yeah, the Brock. When you hear that, that gets you going. But now with this new music, let's see what happens to NXT. I hope NXT, they have to build for No Mercy. They also got the show at Full Sail coming up for them. DYI, I don't know why they came out to interrupt Trick. It's not like Trick is going to call Carmelo Hayes and they're going to team up against DIY. Because Trick and Melo did not leave on good terms, storyline lies. They were enemies before he got called up. So I don't know, a reunion there. Does it make sense, guys? I mean, because it's still canon. Whatever happens on NXT happens on WWE TV. It's not like before when Vince was around. No, that only happened in that fantasy world and the black and gold, pal. This is my world. Everything makes sense because when you have tag team titles being defended for the women on all three brands, it's all canon. It's all whatever happens. So I don't know what's going to happen here with Trick, who's going to be his tag team partner. Could we see Santana team up with him? I got to watch her back against these clowns for I Need You for Bound for Glory. I mean, could we see that?
Maybe it happens.
I would like to see Santana in the ring with Gargano and Ciampa.
Yeah,
I would love to see him spin those clowns around the block a couple times.
I agree.
We'll see. We'll find out how that goes. We'll go into Wednesday. We're going to Wednesday here for All Elite Wrestling. Their residency in 2300 Arena, the old ECW arena. Before that, they had some news. They make some noise that they're going to have their pay-per-view. If you're a Max subscriber, you'll be able to get your pay-per-views from All Elite Wrestling at a $10 discount at $39.99. So your thoughts, because you have the HBO Max app as a consumer. Tell me if you like it, spike it. Your thoughts.
As a consumer, I like it because, I mean, $39.99 is obviously better than the $50, and it's more of the cheaper options to do it the right way, right? But the thing is, it's if you don't have Max, it's just cheaper buying the actual pay-per-view through your provider through the $50 because you're gonna have to pay then 15 for, I don't know how much it is, but you're gonna have to pay whatever it is for Max. I get it through my internet and all that stuff, so I get it for a year free. So I don't know, but it's one of those things that I think they're trying to promote like better graphics and quality, which I don't care. I just want to see. No one really cares as long as they see the show. I think if you wanted to do the Max subscribers a favor, you could have done this for $25, $24.99, or I think $19.99.
I think 19 would have been great.
But if you want to do 25, it's still better than 39. So, because I think the pay-per-views are the only way they're really making their money. I'm not gonna sit here and fully expect. Maybe a little bit, but expect how it was gonna be like WWE Peacock, where if you were just a subscriber to Max, you're gonna get All Out, Wrestle Dream, World's End, Full Gear. I expected a price to be added because that's how they make their revenue. But if you're a Max subscriber, which is their main platform, which is what they're on cable with TBS, Warner Brothers, you're not doing your Max subscribers a favor at all by doing this. So it really doesn't. Okay, whatever. There's another way to watch AEW that doesn't really matter. I mean, you're paying the same shit. I mean, so it really does not mean anything.
You know what, Chris? I agree with you because one thing you hear when they tell you so many different ways of watching it. You could get it on Triller TV. You get it on Amazon Prime. You could get it on Max. You could get it on this. You could get it on that.
Dave and Buster's and watch it for free.
Correct. So did it really do anything to move the needle? I don't think so. Listen, I used to have HBO Max. I used to have HBO Max when I had a higher tier in DirecTV. I downgraded because it's super uber expensive. Now I have to come. Now I'm at the crossroads. Do I get Max? Do I get ESPN? Because I already have NXT and Disney Plus already. So do I upgrade to like add the premium live events to the WWE? Of course I am, because I am a fan of Star Wars, Marvel, and hockey. They give me all my New York Ranger games on ESPN. So for me, this is an individual basis. Individually, the ESPN direct to consumer, because or I could just upgrade my cable, my direct TV, and it's going to be part of at ESPN, and that's part of it, and I'm good to go. So I have that. I am not going to go out of my way for HBO Max because I did not enjoy the Sex of the City reboot. I thought that was trash. They don't stick around with their shows often. There is no more Game of Thrones, although the Dragon one has been kind of lame. There's no more Game of Thrones. There's nothing there to me to draw me in. They don't do HBO boxing anymore, where I could go, a big boxing enthusiast. I'm gonna watch an ESPN. The DC universe they killed it. It's dead. You can see behind me. I got nothing but comic books on my walls. I love the comics. I love and I one of the reasons why I got HBO Max and upgraded because I used to have the DC universe, big DC universe guy. Watch everything there from Teen Titans to all the different things that they shows exclusively on, and then they got absorbed by HBO. HBO is a terrible run product. I'm sorry. It's not the shit on All Elite Wrestling. Elite Wrestling is separate. Maybe that's a marriage that's perfect because HBO Warner Bros. They run things like crap.
The only thing cool about the AEW and HBO Max is you can watch all the pay-per-views from any pay-per-view you want that's past. Okay. That's cool. You can go back and watch, the first All Out, All In, full. You can watch all the past pay-per-views, and they upload it right away. So that's cool. You miss out on a episode, cool, but their pay-per-view business, it ain't gonna help them. It ain't gonna help AEW and Warner Brothers Max. They're not gonna put that shit on for free. So
they look like whatever they touch, and they should get Do-Wives as a sponsor because they turn whatever the Warner Brothers Discovery touch, they turn everything to crap. And you need Do-Wives to wipe that up because they have not been. They're merged with Discovery. Now they're not with Discovery. They're going to break off with that. The NBA bailed out after all those years in partnership.
Get the fuck out of here. They said we're getting the hell out.
We're out of here. We're out of here. Going back to NBC. It's like so weird when it comes to they're in some trouble.
They even got Inside Out, and I don't want to get off topic, but that's their biggest show of that when basketball really inside the NBA they let ESPN grab it.
Yeah.
So that's Warner Brothers, something going on down there. Just and that we're talking about that because AEW fits into that sports category.
It's part of it because they're coming up with another contract. 2027 is around the corner.
What about the NHL? They're not going to be with them longer, right?
NHL, I believe they might be going away from there. They're giving it a shot. Look, with the NHL, let's face it, they're like the fifth. And I'm going to say fifth. Usually there's four. There's only four major sporting in America. We're going to have that conversation. It's a different podcast, but that'll be a different podcast for a different conversation. I think pro wrestling becomes a major sport in the United States next to football, wrestling, or football, basketball, wrestling,
combat
baseball,
sports in general.
We could say that.
With the UFC,
look at the numbers.
Stupid popular, especially with the gambling and all that stuff. But majority of the people like it, right? Because it's real. So combat sports, and there's PFL, Bellator still kind of doing their thing.
Boxing.
So
with the new Dana White boxing.
With the new Dana White boxing, he's doing slap fight. I mean, combat sports is really
sports, and we'll put wrestling in that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
We could add
wrestling's in that category. Sports. Absolutely, yeah. So I agree. We're gonna have to see what happens with Warner Brothers and AEW. 2026 in the future, stuff can change for the better, for the worse. But that's kind of where I'm at. Doesn't help. Doesn't do anything.
It doesn't help. And then everyone's saying cable's antiquated. That's going to go off. That's not going to be there no more. But with all these different platforms, streaming platforms, it's going to end up like the cable wars. You're going to get a stream. When it's going to happen. Sign up for this for $59.99. Streaming Jock Vapapaloo, and you get all these different apps. You get Max here. You're going to get what you call it, ESPN. You're going to get Peacock. You're gonna so all in one shop. It's gonna end up like cable, but it's gonna be a streaming monopoly as well. We know that's gonna happen there. At the end of the day, it's like history is gonna repeat itself when it comes to all this stuff. When it comes to the cable wars, but let's talk about the wrestling that happened on Wednesday. Although some of us want to forget about it.
I would listen.
Too. His was my perfect Wednesday. This Wednesday that happened. I got a nice interview. By the way, I want to thank you. Thanks a lot to Frankie Kazarian for blessing us with an interview here on the Sports Jedi Network. He was great. He was great with me there. We after the conversation, after we were off the air, it was also cool. Thank you, Frankie Kazarian, the king of TNA, joined us. But and as soon as I was done with that, I edited my videos, and at 7:30 at night, I went right to sleep, brother. And I slept like a
I wish I
baby.
would have done the same thing, man.
I
wish
slept
I
like
would have
a
done the
baby.
same thing. Well, do you want me to
Didn't
kind of tell you what you
yes.
didn't miss out?
What
tell
I
you
missed.
I tell you what you didn't miss, because nothing really there to be excited for. Mercedes Moné versus Alex Windsor, feeding her
Who?
the new star. Will Ospreay's fiance, yes, feeding her the new star in the AEW so she could beat him, or so she could beat her. The match was good. Obviously, these two ladies are great in the ring. Mercedes is good. It was fine. They mentioned the 20-minute time limit, so people thought it would have been a draw, which I actually would have liked, but no, it was not a draw. It was not a draw. Mercedes Moné wins by pinfall. After the match, Rio makes her return back to AEW.
King?
Riho, the first ever AEW Women's World Champion, is back in AEW. No pop. That little ass ECW arena didn't give two shits about Riho coming back to AEW to challenge Mercedes Moné for the TBS title. And Kev, I believe this is what you wanted to make your point earlier with. So I'm gonna let you take the floor here with people coming back and already getting a title shot, because this makes no fucking sense. Where the hell has she been for the last year and a half? No pop, and she's already getting the TBS title shot. At least with AJ and Becky, if that's what you're going to go into,
I'm going with that.
Fucking sense. Go ahead, Kev.
Yes, the reason why we bring those two. No, we started it earlier when I said we're going to put a pin on that comparison. Hey, Steve Bruce. You know what, Steve? I don't think your wife was calling me that last night. She was calling me Papi. So I don't know. Or your sister, whichever. I see this between those two ladies, and I go, they're going to compare this immediately. Why? Oh, but AJ could get back here, because there was already hate on the AJ Lee returning. Oh, she's overrated. She did not this and this. So now I go. That's why I ask you. There's a storyline. Why is AJ Lee back in the WWE? No problem, Steve. I like to give that back. Why is AJ Lee back in the WWE? Because another woman put her hands on her husband. Correct?
It's that simple.
She's back to avenge her husband. Now, this happens to be the Intercontinental Woman Champion. Now, if, like you said earlier, Chris, if they go to Wrestle Palooza and she happens to pin, you know what? Not only you made me come back and you put your hands on my husband, I'm going to take that gold away from you. Storyline makes sense.
Even if Becky were to pin her, hypothetically, if she could still say, no, I want you one-on-one. Now this is like, Becky could still even want it, because she's not that, she's a heel, right? So she could be that type of champion to be like, no. But for her, she might want to say, I want to kick your ass and I want to prove to you that I'm better than you ever were.
Okay.
So either way, it works. With this, it does.
But with Riho,
no sense.
Where she just came back.
Where is she?
Yes.
No one cares. That ECW arena, and that arena is supposed to be full of the marks, full of the sickos in pro wrestling. I live an hour and 40 minutes away, so I know a lot. I knew some of the people in there. No pop.
Let me ask you a question, Chris. If Rio, after that, chasing away and came in and done what she did to Mercedes, and she grabs a microphone and she says, I am the first AEW Women's World Champion. Let's hypothetically,
that would have been fine.
Let's say the microphone has Google Translate, like the way Shibata had.
Yeah.
She goes, I was the first woman AEW champion. And you know what? You ain't coming here to make history or make record books. I don't go in the back of the line. I'm the first. I'm coming for that. I'm gonna show you why I was the first. Plain and simple. I'm gonna show you why I'm the first woman the AEW champion, or the first ever woman champion in this company. Plain and simple. I want that title because I'm gonna show you who's first. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Now you're invested. Yeah. Even though it would not make sense, but for AEW, for their lack of storytelling that they get stereotype with, we could go with that. This is where a Don Callis would have been a fucking phenomenal to be. Instead of having all these guys like a Lance Archer, no disrespect to Lance Archer, the one bit at all, or having all this conglomerate of talent that don't really do much. That's where Don Callis would have been great as to align himself and talk to Rio and going after Mercedes.
No,
I know
I
Mercedes
agree.
make it make sense.
I agree. It's they should have done that because again, she's the first women's champion. She beat I believe it was Nyla Rose because Brandy Rose went out.
She's next for Mercedes to wrestle.
Yeah, I know.
For you.
But hi guys. But she was like, no, but you know what I mean. Like she's the first AEW champion. She beat Nyla Rose. Brandy Rhodes came out there, presented her the title. So she should have been a little more. She should have stood out a little more. She should have, done what you said. But again, that's been a problem throughout all pro wrestling. When it comes to that. But let me just finish, talking about a little bit what happened on the show, and then we can get to the talk.
Hold on, before you go with that, let me add another idea that came in my head. What if she, instead of coming in and doing the run in, because they love to run in, instead of the run in, a video on a Titantron to Mercedes stopping and said and explaining that, but in her language, that she wants that match because she was the first ever AEW World Champion and she wants to challenge for that TBS title. She wants you get your ass ready for All Out. Plain and simple in Japanese. They worked for Rio. It worked for, I believe.
No, it works for Takeshita all the time.
So they could have done that easily for Rio.
Yes, that would have been better than her getting on the mic and actually.
And then you could have Tony Schiavone wet his pants. Oh my God, she's gonna challenge Mercedes. With his little squeaky voice, and you would have been good. But all right, go for it. Finish it up.
No, you're good. And then we'll talk about this meltdown. Get into the nonstop action if you know what I'm talking about. But all in all, Mark Briscoe comes out. He does a little talk with Mark Briscoe. Basically goes out there and says, "This is the building where him and his brother Jay." The crowd starts chanting Jay's name for Jay Briscoe. Nice. Fell in love with pro wrestling. And then Mark said his focus is on the TNT champion Kyle Fletcher, Don Callis. He leads to a conversation with Don Callis. Everybody's chanting "fuck Don Callis," whatever. Mark Briscoe gets into the match with Lance Archer. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, I'll fight either one of you guys. So at first, Alexander was kind of like going out there, pushing the back, whatever. Lance Archer is ultimately the person that he chooses, and it's an easy win for Mark Briscoe, as you expect, which sucks because Lance Archer he has a great build.
The murder hawk.
He's exactly so him.
What's he murder? Chicken and catering?
Probably because Mark Briscoe hit him with a drop kick, hit him with a that little froggy thingy he does, and he lost. So not great. I wasn't that invested. I wasn't invested into the AEW Tag Team Championships either with Claudio and Wheeler versus Bro Dito. I don't give a fuck about this. I think FTR should be your tag team champions anyway. Speaking of FTR, probably the only thing that came out of this show that was actually worth talking about. Adam Copeland comes out there, makes his entrance. FTR shows up. Christian Cage went into the ring, fought FTR. Adam Copeland and Christian Cage were in control. Security guard shows up, breaks it up, whatever. So we know that we're going to get this match probably at All Out. And, they're inconsistent as hell with the security breaking up these brawls. They do it in anytime, no matter who it is. But it's going to be a good match. They're doing a decent job, at least trying to get a decent job to build the match, because ultimately I think everybody knows that, because that shows the same day as Wrestle Palooza. So if you're one of those fans that if you're a sicko, you're going to watch All Out. But if you're just going to tune into All Out, whatever, this is the match that people are going to be tuning in for.
So Chris, I went to sleep early. Was there a Warlow at all again? No Warlow on the show?
No Warlow, because after that, the main event, the All-Star Tag Team match.
And
it
you're telling me
was
Waller couldn't be in the All-Star tag team? I mean, how many men this time was? 10?
It was an 8-man. Yeah, wait, it was an 8-man. It was the Bucks. So it was Nick and Mac Jackson, Alexander and Fletcher versus Omega, Hangman, and Jet Speed. So
I
it was
mean,
8.
every week is like a copy and paste. Another
It's the
All-Star
same shit every
challenge with
week. It
men,
was a
with the woman.
yeah. I
Was
mean,
was it main event worthy? What was the
it was a
big
good
thing out of
match.
this?
It was a good match, but I think the thing that got out of it was what Hangman and Kenny Omega doing a face to face with the Young Bucks. I've seen that so many times in the early days of AEW. That's really the best part that came out of the main event. It was a good match, like they always have. But if you're talking about moments and something that actually got your attention, that little face to face was probably the only thing. But again, yet again, Kenny Omega is going out with another injury angle. So he's going to be taking time off again. There was a table set up on the floor. Kenny tried to fight the heels, but Kyle Fletcher hit Omega in the ribs with the chair. Kenny was on the apron, suplex Omega through the table. So now we're doing another Omega spot, getting written off TV. So
Can I ask this question? Do you think Kenny Omega has a booker or an agent gene in him? I'm asking this because if he's not healthy wise, and
I think
he's a brilliant mind in wrestling. Everyone says about his matches to put it. If you could wrestle with a broomstick and a Doomy doll, you could be a good producer and get that over. And a little kid, I think he could be a hello producer. I don't. Would he want to do that in AEW going forward? I know it sucks if you're a Omega fan that wants to see him wrestle and you appreciate and see him.
Omega. Yeah.
But now you have to think about what's best for his future and what's best for the company and best for his health.
And
maybe it's a producer role.
You got me right into that because I think Kenny is. I don't know I know Dave is a stooge, but a lot of the things he hears from AEW, they're not always wrong. And if what he said this week on the Observer was right with, Kenny could be seriously hurt, this could be really a while before we see Kenny again. But he doesn't need to win another world title. He doesn't need to win any of these bullshit mid-card titles. Kenny's one of my favorite wrestlers. Like, I love it. I love Kenny. But I don't need to see more of Kenny Omega in a big storyline. They got the Okada one out of the way in the States. I think that was the big one that Tony wanted. They did him and Danielson, which was fucking amazing. Kenny had his heel run. I mean, if Kenny seriously beat up, just hang it up.
Because I would hate to see a dark side of the ring. AEW, they fucking kill Kenny.
Yeah,
I know, that's the last. Yeah,
no,
I mean that.
I mean, we're getting a dark side of the ring on this company either way. But yeah, that was kind of ultimately what happened with this week's Dynamite at the ECW arena. They'll be in the ECW arena.
No, nothing about one thing I heard though, Chris. I want to add this to the AEW talk before we go into the total nonstop action. All I heard was because I woke up early, I put on not pro wrestling 24/7 because you're not putting live content 24/7. So you're a pro wrestling channel, but you're not doing it 24/7. At 4 o'clock you cut off with the live shows. My point is, all I heard was Taz didn't get the celebration on television. They were supposed to be on Collision. They didn't have it. They moved it. I saw the video and then the video of the owner saying that Taz didn't want it, but they said it was awkward that he kept repeating it. Kind of felt like he was twisting his arm, like the kid, like the mother that doesn't want the kid to have a piece of candy. You're offering him a piece of candy, a piece of chocolate, and the kid, the kid in his face wants it, and he's salivating, but then the mom is twisting the arm or digging the fingernails, and you better not take that candy on. Kick your ass. It felt like that from Tony Khan, but all in all, good. If they inducted Taz in that building, great. Now, what was the thing about Hook? Like, why? I heard that he just comes out standing there chewing gum with his arms crossed. This guy walks around like his shit don't stink.
Hook?
When it comes to Hook,
and Hook
hasn't done.
He came out and gave Taz a hug.
No, not about the Taz ceremony with the run-in with all the ops and this whole storyline with the ops.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. With Samoa Joe backstage and Will Hobbs.
And everyone's getting physical, and he just comes out like, chewing gum. Like, dude,
He thinks he's a badass,
but he's not.
I know he's not.
He hasn't done anything to prove he's a badass.
No, Samoa Joe literally threw his ass around when they had that match.
Go out there and obliterate John Moxley. Go out there and obliterate a Gabe Kidd. Go out there and obliterate a Willow Useless. Then we're talking. He hasn't done anything. Tell me a match that you're like, I need to, and the Dave Meltzer 5-star match rating that Hook has done. And I'm gonna put this name out there because I saw the internet community love to compare these two wrestlers. Dominic Mysterio.
I knew that was coming. And it's not even it's no longer a debate. You could have had that debate a couple years ago because Dominic was still kind of raised goofy kid. There's no stop. I don't want to hear anybody compare those two ever again. Ever again. Dominic is levels above Hook, and it is not even close. And if me and you had this conversation one day about Taz, doing that's not happening anymore. You know how we talked about if Taz would put, maybe send him to the Performance Center, try to get after this? Yeah, right. Yeah,
I don't think WWE wants any interest in the kid.
Hell no, especially, but even with Taz, bro, because I think Hook should be with his dad. No matter what. Son, get the money. Don't know at this point, don't know how long you're going to be doing this at a high level. Get the money, and I'll be here with you to make sure shit goes good for you or goes, I'll keep you out of trouble. That's the only reason, the only benefit I see Hook staying with AEW is to be with his dad. But now that, we've had that before, it could have happened. It didn't happen. And now that Tony did this, not happening.
Now I'm one of those people that I don't know. I don't know when Taz's contract is up with All Elite Wrestling because that's quiet to the vest. And I know Hook just re-upped about a year ago, I believe. Yeah. Case in point is if Taz just got inducted to the Hall of Fame and he didn't want to make a big deal about it, wanted to keep it off television. And if WWE says, hey, we would love to put you in the Hall of Fame, in our WWE Hall of Fame, but we need you to, come work for us, some kind of capacity in this and that. I never say never. I could see Taz hightailing it out to go work back to get Hall of Fame induction, go get paid, work for the WWE, and then eventually open the door for his son to want to come work in NXT.
Now that last part is what I would. If that last part you mentioned is a part of the deal, yes.
I could see that where the WWE, they just listen. We just saw AJ Lee return. We saw Punk return. We've seen the love that he's getting. Michael Cole has gone publicly on WWE television, all right, and talked about talked about the name Taz on the live broadcast about his partnership and working, how one of his best friends Taz in the business. While on PLEs, the name Taz has been. It's not taboo. Then seeing that they didn't do the ceremony on live television. I'm just saying, you know what? Where there's smoke, there's fire. You never know. Now that Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, whatever you want to call him, is now part of the commentary team going forward, anything could happen. Look, this is a guy, Taz, who walked out on CBS Sports Radio. He had a hell of a good show on CBS Sports Radio talking about Mets, live sports. They sprinkle. I used to listen to it because I would know that.
I didn't know he got into the baseball scene for a little bit.
The best of both worlds, because he would talk about all the major sports and sprinkle the pro wrestling talk as well. So he was doing that on CBS Sports Network, and I liked it because he had I like Taz as a radio sports host because he again talked about all the major sports teams, New York Mets. He's a big Met fan. Talked about the baseball scene, the hockey, the football, everything that was at the season, and still kept us talking about wrestling, and he was very good at it. Taz very good at it, so wouldn't be surprised if there's fire. There's there's smoke, there's fire, where we could see a Taz maybe later in the year show up, work for the WWE. Never say never on that. But Dynamite again, people criticize it. They drew 400,000+ to watch on cable. Whatever you want to put stock on those numbers. If you do, if you don't, right now the product isn't growing. We see that they're They only do it in the UK because the European, they're starving for American wrestling. You saw it with WWE in the Road to Paris. You saw it in all in. You see it whenever they go, when any of the American companies head out to the UK, Europe. The fans support it in droves. Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen to All Elite Wrestling. No way. I don't know if they're profitable right now. I saw Bubba Ray Dudley put out a tweet. The boys know in the locker room they don't respect the owner. They know it. He says they're not going to grow. He put something. I'm paraphrasing. I don't have the exact quote on it. I know Captain Ricochet came out, with the Shield to go up again, to attack Bubba Ray Dudley. But Bubba Ray Dudley's not doing it to try to be negative or put the product down. Like, let's say myself. I'm going to put or others. He does it because he really wants that company to thrive. Look, if the AEW thrives, they have what to talk about on their shows, especially their pro wrestling. They want to go 7 days a week talking about wrestling. They need All Elite Wrestling to provide them with entertaining wrestling talk, because if not, they're not going to last. Especially with they knocked off the UFC from the satellite radio program. There is no UFC talk on satellite radio, so they need the wrestling talk. They need the AEW to be profitable. They needed to have good storylines. They need good wrestling, and if he's coming from that end, it's not to take shots at the company. I think he really wants them to step up their game. Your thoughts? My last thing, your thoughts that All Elite Wrestling decides to move their premium live, their pay-per-view from 7 or 8 o'clock back to 3 o'clock. Now, I don't like the excuse they said. Because they were so successful with the All Out and All In. And I think we want to move it because we got more viewerships there. No, that's not true, because
this is why I think it's not because for the success of Forbidden Door. That's bullshit. I'm gonna get that out of the way. I think he knows what is going to be going up. He's going to go up against Wrestle Palooza. AEW makes most of their money through their pay-per-view buys, is at least what we're speculating. Because again, a lot of their shit's private. We don't know the numbers. Max doesn't throw up. So, but from what we could speculate, they make their most money off pay-per-view buys. So if they start their show at 3 o'clock, they're going to get the most out of it, because if you're going to if you're a fan of both products like myself, you're going to be able to watch Wrestle Palooza and All Out. So you're going to get more buys on All Out by moving the time, because more people, if people want to watch 2 shows in one day, they're going to do it. Selfishly, for the content creators, you get to watch both shows. I think he knows he's not going to get as many buys if he goes up at the same time as WrestlePalooza, because people are going to want to watch that, especially now, with AJ Lee officially being back and Brock and Cena being announced. So
they're going to get destroyed.
So if you move the pay-per-view at 3 o'clock, you get a few more pay-per-view buys. Because if you're watching AEW, if you're a sicko, you're not watching WrestlePalooza. You're gonna watch All Out whenever it starts, no matter what. But if you're not a sicko but still want to watch the show, you get a few more pay-per-view buys by moving the show to 3. So it doesn't bother me. But what bothers me is Tony Khan, making it seem like they're doing it because the Forbidden Door was so successful. That's not why. That is the only thing that bothers me. But them moving the show for that, if that is the reason, that doesn't bother me. It's smart. It's smart for them.
I think it's a smart business move too. I know people say, "Oh, don't be shook. Go one-on-one, attack them, yada yada." Here's why I think it's cool. It's on a Saturday afternoon. If you're a father with kids, right? You have a couple kids and all that, and you let's say you don't want to stay home, whatever the case is. Go to David Buster's, get some wings, the drinks, the kids could play games, and you're watching the AEW pay-per-view there.
They show WWE too.
Okay, yeah, and
they show UFC, any boxing. So like the Alvarez and Crawford, and they'll show that, and they show AEW, WWE.
But let's say this for argument's sake. You have the ESPN Plus. Let's say you have the ESPN app and all that good stuff. You're set, but you don't want to pay the $40 for the pay per view. You go, you know what? You tire out the kids playing all the games at David Buster's. You have some wings. You enjoy. You spend your father quality or husband, family time there. You go back. You'll be able to go home right before or miss maybe one match of ESPN, the whatever the case is. You put the kids are tired out to bed, and then you go watch ESPN. You watch Wrestle Palooza, and if you're with the missus, you could Wrestle Palooza and chill. I mean, I don't know.
Exactly.
I mean, win-win situation there.
Exactly.
Personally, there. Yeah. So let's get into some total nonstop action. But before I do that, I want to congratulate the Freemans, Maximum Jacob Freeman and Alicia now Freeman too. They got married. Congratulations. And she right now she's better than everyone, and she knows it. Now she's there with MJF. Congratulations to you guys. Cool that you guys are together there.
The beautiful. Tony, Hangman got in the picture. Tony was front and center. So
nice,
cool. It's nice. we see it with WWE superstars. They're all at everybody's wedding, and so it shows that we see MJF as this heel guy and all this stuff. It's it's cool to see the there's so many negativity that we don't get along. So it was good to see even Hangman, who's the champion, and him and MJF have a feud going on right now. They hate each other, right. And they're so it's cool to see that they they all show out to say it to for MJF.
That's cool. And very good job there. Oh, a lot of prosperity.
It shows that MJF is a good dude in real life. He's just really good at playing a character.
Absolutely. He keeps the kayfabe alive, brother. All right, speaking of keeping alive, let's go to coming live for the first time ever, Minnesota Armory. We had our review, but we want to always talk about TNA here on this program. We got total nonstop action. The Impact Zone was from Minnesota in Minneapolis for the first time ever in that building, in that state, on a really good show for TNA. I love the fact that they went on a Thursday. It was a tough competition, though, because they had the opening night, Eagles and Dallas Cowboys with the NFL.
And it was a great
and that was a tough one. But you know what helped total nonstop action? There was some weather issues with the football game that people were able to switch over and catch the latter part of the TNA programming, which benefits them in a perfect world. Because all you got to go, if you're watching it on YouTube TV, all you got to do is put TNA, and they were offering it on YouTube. So smart move by Carlos Silva, Anthem, and the TNA brand for doing that. A good job there. And for those people that says I can't get TNA, there are so many avenues to consume this product. You can get it on YouTube TV. I believe you get it on Claro internationally. If you're in Canada, Sportsnet, you could get it on the TNA Plus app. Access TV. They're out there until they get their new home where they're officially going to have all their programming. There's so many different avenues to watch the TNA product, which is a very, very, very entertaining product each and every Thursday. Even when they do their tape shows, it's one of the most quickest 2 hours entertaining wrestling program in all of wrestling right now. And despite having an NXT main wrestler holding the men's title in Trick Williams, they still do story. They do what I love about them, you get storytelling with great in-ring action, and they pace it correctly with the commercials, with the segments. You get 2 talking segments and right into some great action, and all makes sense, connected tissues. We saw the Nemets return. We saw Ryan Nemeth announce his brother's return. At the end of the show, we get the super kick heard around the world. Poor Mara Sade, who got that super kick by Nick Nemeth, but they attacked the Hardys. They want their tag team gold. How invested are you with the Hardys and the Nemeths for that rematch? I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. When we talked to Nick on our channel, he there was no secret. Him and Ryan wanted to get another shot at those tag team titles. And, I still think it's an interesting kind of slippery slope, because we know with Team 3D, again, they did the taping. They're doing the tape. They did the tapings yesterday or today, so we know some things are happening there. So it's kind of if that like you're kind of feels like the Hardys are feuding with two tag teams at once. So
Yes.
that's kind of it's cool, but it's a little confusing in terms of maybe where can the Nemitz and Hardy have this match? Is it going to happen at Victory Road, or are they saving this for after Bound for Glory? If that's the only thing I still have yet to come across and try to figure out, because I still think the Nemitz end game is to take those titles back. They're not doing that if they have the match at Victory Road, because they're going again. But what you when we talked about this on our review show, you brought it up where it was like the Nemitz can win at Victory Road, and you can just do the Hardys and 3Ds and Team 3D with no titles. So it's less predictable, and Team 3D actually has a shot at winning, especially since Devon's never going to be in the ring again. So maybe it can happen at Victory Road. So that's two things. I'm mixed between both scenarios, but
Okay.
if they do that scenario where you brought up about them dropping it to them at Victory Road, by all means, that works fine.
Let me ask this: either road they give us, it's a good one. I'm invested in either way.
Yeah, I agree.
Nemitz winning the title, or even if they don't win the title, I'm still invested on Bound for Glory, because even if the Nemitz win the tag team titles, now you have another number one contender for the Nemitz, but you're still getting the greatest tag team of all time matchup between the Hardys and the Dudleys. So you get a little bit of best of both worlds.
I agree.
Enjoy that.
I agree. That's why when you brought that up on a review show Thursday, I agree. I that could happen. I agree.
And Heather says,
I don't think the Dudleys should be fighting for a tag team title in 2025.
Anyway. No, I agree with you. And Heather says, will they bring another woman, Nemeth, recruit a woman to interesting. I don't think because they kind of patched things up, and I hate, and it was cool that Busted Open early in the morning. They actually talked about more than 5 minutes of TNA wrestling. They actually had
talk shit about TNA on Thursday after dark.
She doesn't. Take her off the show.
She talked about it for 10 minutes, bro. And she started talking about AEW War and all this other shit.
It's TNA. It's Busted Open after dark on the night of the show that's finished. You're supposed to review. It's a kind of an hour of the review show of the live event that happened. It's simple. We're not saying for her to lose her job. Just put her on Wednesday nights. That's it. We all know she's great friends with Will Washington, which is nothing wrong with that. That's your homeboy. So it's not. This is on program director Basili, Eddie Basili, the big boss man. Listen, put her on Wednesday night. Simple. Put someone that's going to talk TNA wrestling for the full hour that's invested in the product for the full hour. Plain and simple. Or if you give us an opportunity, give us a chance, an opportunity to come here on Thursday nights and listen to us review it. After that TNA is over, this is when we ask you want to hear someone glaze the other company that's not supposed, for the false product, or you want to hear someone talk about the product that you want to hear it. That's who we are. We're going to talk about TNA, the full hour. To this week today, it's a little bit about everybody. Today is this week in pro wrestling. It's not this week in AEW. It's a little bit of everyone. We're talking about everybody here. But Thursday nights, we review TNA wrestling, regardless if it's a recorded program or not. We're going to give you 30 to 40 minutes of review of TNA. What happened? Not 10 minutes, and I'm going to talk about All Elite Wrestling. That's not the way. No. You don't hear that Monday Night Raw with Tommy Dreamer. He gives you a full hour of Monday Night Raw review, or NXT with Bubba Ray Dudley, or even AEW Dynamite. Why is it the TNA on Busted Open or Pro Wrestling Nation only giving you 10 minutes of TNA and 40 minutes of All Elite Wrestling in a 1 hour show? That doesn't work for me, brother. And I listen to it 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning before, or 6 when they play it on replay, and I listen to it for an hour, and I don't listen to it on Friday mornings because I can't. She doesn't gonna talk about it. I'm not turning in, brother. I'm not. It's plain simple. I like to support everybody, but she's not the one for me because she's not talking TNA. 10 minutes is not on an hour show. It's not what's supposed. No good. But Total Nonstop Action, we'll talk about it here, and we'll talk about it every chance we get.
Every Thursday.
Every Thursday. So give us an opportunity, tune in, listen to us, and we're not your cup of coffee. We understand it. We're someone's cup of coffee. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. That's the way we flow.
We got
That's
a good audience, so we're clearly people's cup of coffee.
Absolutely. So yeah, let's get back to the TNA with Marta Sade. I don't know. Speaking of that, early in the morning, she was on with Nick Nemeth with Tommy Dreamer. The last hour of the show, 11 o'clock. If you, it was real great interview. Got to know about a little more of Mara Sade, her backstory, which NXT never gave her that platform to hear her. That's another thing. Just another rant. I'm sorry, I'm going a little bit of a side quest. You know, we have media credentials, we have media affiliates. We've been emailing the WWE for about months to please allow us to interview NXT talent. We would like to hear their story. We would like to interview, and we have got peeps, nothing, silch, nada, crickets from the WWE email. I don't know if that WWE person works, that Chris guy. I tried to send him. I had my editor from my channel, from our our chief editor, don't want to give the name. Oh, I almost did. Reach out, crickets. I don't know what the WWE. Maybe I have to make some. Maybe I gotta dye my hair red, put my hat on backwards, and make a goofy face. I don't know, because I'm trying to go through the proper avenues to bring these on. Look, I email Anthem Sports TNA. You see, proof is there. You see who's who. We had the president of the company come on our channel. You email asking you shall receive. We've been asking WWE, we haven't received. So yeah, I don't know. And we also asked All Elite Wrestling. Nothing. Crickets. Well, we did say like we couldn't get accommodated for their last show.
That's what happens when we don't ask about Waffle House orders.
Maybe yeah. I gotta ask them what kind of syrup they go with their waffles. Maybe that'll help. Maybe I asked them, hey, what syrup you like? Blue boysenberry? You know, maybe that helps.
Probably.
So my point is with TNA Wrestling, great job there, Monterrey. I don't think they'll recruit another female to the mix. I think that's where we're going. At that point where I think they're just giving Amara the rub that Leon Slater got when it comes to the Hardys. Where look at Leon right now going crazy. We're gonna find out next week who is going to be a contender for Leon Slater. They mentioned a couple names. How are we going to get there? I don't know if we're going to get an Ultimate X Weapon match where for number one contender or some type of gimmick. I would like to see a King of the Mountain match. Maybe for a number one contender, building up at a Victory Road for Leon Slater for the, Bound for Glory. I wouldn't mind that, Chris.
No, me neither. Those matches are always a treat. So we'll see who's next for Leon Slater. But I thought the show Thursday was good. Anytime they go live is always a treat. First time in Minneapolis, and I thought it was a good show. I liked the main event, as we were talking about with Chikara, and I still butcher her fucking name, bro.
Mara. It's Mara.
I don't want to say like Marie. Like I butcher it, but I have a bad habit of calling people by their first name and first real wrestling name. Anyway. I like the main event. Nemeth's coming out. It's gonna raise questions on when they're gonna have this match and who wins, but it's gonna be a good match. They always have good matches together. The only thing I know, we talked about it Thursday, and I like the show. The only other thing I want to get into is the Mike Santana stuff. Obviously, our boy, which started off the show. We know we're gonna get the match at Bound for Glory. Mike Santana and Trick Williams, so I thought that was very cool. They're still doing a good job on building the match, and I think we're on track. That was the question for many weeks now. So that's kind of the last thing I kind of want to get into, if unless anything else.
And he's gonna. I do got something else though.
Yeah.
But, he's gonna chase him to NXT. He says, I'm coming to you if you don't come to me.
And I like it. I like what you said earlier too, with maybe if they can do like the tag team, because I know we've seen it before, right? With opponents going up against tag team, trying to, I can see it too, because it's like Santana wants Trick at 100%, so this way he makes sure Trick's at 100%, or at least he's equal percent if Trick gets fucked up, So I like that. That's my highlight of the show was that finally getting announced and knowing that we got this. We got this.
Well, one thing that came out here, which I had a little bit of criticism, but first and foremost, please, you got to go to Twitter or X. You got to find the Iceman George. He has a GoFundMe account. We got to get that painting restored that Masha Slamovich and company broke. We got to get it restored for the personal concierge. He needs that picture restored. We got to get it. We got to get that artist to restore it. We got to donate. We got to get it. We don't need him to get. He wants to put a second mortgage on his house. He wants to sell his cars, his assets, because he needs that painting by Ash by Elegance with the world title. We cannot have that, George, because you put so much into bringing elegance to the TNA brand. We have to start a GoFundMe to make sure you get that painting so you can put it in your living room. But no, all jokes aside, we talked about it. He bought the Elegance brand. That celebration was all right. We had a couple of questions where why the Inspirations got involved. I know they're the number one contenders for the tag team titles.
Why did Ying Ying Lee and Xia
Brookside? Correct. That was what you said.
That was my question, because I said, at least, with M and A, or Heather and Maggie, they have the titles, and Inspiration's number one contenders. That makes sense. What is Ying Ying Lee and Xia Li doing out there? And I know you love her, but what's she doing out there for this? What are both of them doing out there for this? Unless they're not going to do a triple threat knockouts title tag team, so for them to be involved. Maybe that's the only way then, if they're getting involved like that, because this makes no other sense for them to come out.
But we kind of repeating ourselves. Oh, we need to add a fatal influence. I mean, we're doing it again. I mean, that's why I said it's kind of. And speaking of fatal influence, and I mentioned this on our review, why isn't Jay? And we talked about NXT a little earlier, and we were worried about JC Jane. Why isn't JC Jane not getting her contractually obligated rematch for her knockouts title, where Santino went out his way to make sure Joe Henry had his knockout when we thought it should have been Mike Santana at Slammiversary one-on-one with Trick Williams. Santino tends to put his foot a little bit in his mouth. Now Masha comes out where we like, what? She goes, this is your third time, honey, getting that title opportunity. And granted, we want to see you. I do want to see that match. But you gotta stay a little consistent with your storytelling. Where Masha says, "I talked to Santino. I got a title match back."
I agree.
Where is Jay?
I agree. I want to bring this up real quick because I said this on Thursday. The only reason I agree with you, yes, logically, but I see why they won't do it, because she still is the NXT Women's Champion.
I agree with you.
I don't think she could lose cleanly. If you want to have I know we're sick of the fucking triple threats. That is the only way I could see her getting a shot at that title again without having her to lose cleanly, because she's the NXT Women's Champion and she's supposed to be top of the card. That doesn't look good for her. That's the only thing I question on how can they give her that world title rematch in to where it makes, it doesn't make JC Jane look like she just got beat up. And while she's the NXT Women's Champion.
And JC Jane, this is a statement. It's just my hot take, my opinion. JC Jane has to stay heel. Do not think of making her a baby face, because she is not a baby face. Her mannerisms are heel. And I'm not saying she's not going to make a good baby face. No, I think she'll be just a mediocre talent as a baby face. As a heel, she could use the legs on the ropes, the extracurricular stuff to make her matches more meaningful and more special. Here's what I could see. I could see where they're going to put all three fatal influence women in the ring and say, one of you become the number one contender. Go. And you see that they have dissension. I wouldn't be surprised if Jasmine Nix comes out as number one contender.
I was going to say mine as well.
And then you could feed her to TNA and oh, you want your rematch, but you have to be one of your fatal influence. And Fallon wants to lay down, but not Jasmine. They go at it. Jasmine gets the flash pin, and now she goes against, and that's her rematch clause. They could get away with that creatively, where you had Jasmine represented you, and they could still keep the fire burning in NXT between Jasmine and JC, which looks like Lonnie Reed. Looks like the people saying in the internet that she might take over or take Jasmine Nick's place in the fatal influence. I hope not, because I am not invested in Lainey Reed. I like Jasmine Nix, and I don't think Jasmine Nix is ready to go on a babyface or a solo run yet. Not there yet. She's working her ass off to get there, but not ready yet. But we'll see where that goes for the whole NXT for TNA going forward. One thing they did announce more dates. They have dates in El Paso in December. In November, they're coming to my state, to my city, Orlando, Florida. Hopefully, I'm there for all those tapings. Hopefully, in the cards are correctly, everything is going right. That I'm there live for the channel, and we get some in-house on face-to-face one-on-one interviews. I'm hoping that TNA has opened up the red carpet, opened the doors. They've been phenomenally great to the Sports Jedi Network media, for myself, Chris. Everyone there behind the scenes have done class act with us. You see all the different talent from TNA that has given us the time, the opportunity for interviews here. We appreciate it. We're grateful. And hopefully we get some face-to-face. I've got a debt to pay with Frankie Kazarian with a cigar. I promised him next time I see him, we're going to have a couple cigars together, and also some other stuff for other wrestlers, other people, some mofongo and all that good stuff. So hopefully I get to see them and we get to have a good time in Orlando. Appreciate that, though. But this is our week. This is the week of reviews. For us, we do this every week. We do our live watch-alongs on the Playback app. We promote on the Twitter machine, like they like to say. We could put that. You make sure you follow us, like, subscribe. You can read our blog on World Press Sports Jedi Network. Well, you see Chef Dan does some football. My son Austin covers the UFC. Chris with also football with Steelers and the NFL. And so much more here. Basketball season's around the corner. So we do that here on the Sports Jedi Network. And we'll definitely do the live watch-alongs. We join us. We appreciate everyone on this beautiful Saturday. For me out there, it's pouring. We have that tropical storm in Florida that's coming through here.
It's going to thunderstorm here in like an hour or two, too. So we're getting there. We got to hear a little bit yesterday. So
yes. Tony, I think it would be great. Becky, Bailey, Liv, and then Roxanne for AJ Lee. AJ Lee there's a lot of meat on the bones when it comes to the AJ Lee.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people, man. There's a lot of people that I would like to see AJ Lee, go against. I mean, Roxanne's obviously the one.
Yeah.
Liv Morgan, like you mentioned, is a good one. Stephanie would be a good one. Alexa would be a good one. I think
Nikki
Charlotte
Bella
would be a good one. Charlotte would be a good one. There's a lot of really any. I could say any.
My final one that I mentioned her, Nikki Bella. Wade Barrett has some comments to say on the Clash of Paris pre-show. Wasn't nothing sickening, demeaning, or really inappropriate. Says that she's just a woman from her, and I've said it, she's a woman from a past generation of women wrestlers. They're trying to make it here. And, didn't say, I heard the comments. I didn't find it so offensive or disrespectful. She went on her podcast, made a big deal. Wade Barrett's not on commentary. Guys, it wasn't because of that comment they removed him. He quickly went to post on X. He has a scheduled time off, vacation, that he's going to rest up. Listen, I could tell you right now, and Barrett does this for a living, and he does much more amplified and greater than us. My throat bothers me at times. My throat, I have to go to lozenges for the talking, that we do. I can imagine him, and he does it at a higher level as a professional. You need your rest with your vocal cords. And you need to, and just like any job, we all want to take it. To us, it might be fun. Oh, I would love to be the commentary. I'll be there every week, pal. Sleeping in other beds, traveling, jet lag, getting you preparing for notes, being for production. I mean, it's work. They need time off. This is what Barrett is taking some time off. Mm-hmm. We got Pat McAfee, I believe, is returning. Joe Tessitore is going to be off doing football games. He's not going to be around either.
Pat's going to be back for the ESPN show, but that's because he's ESPN guy. But
okay.
Pat does College Game Day on Sundays.
It's a rotation.
Yeah.
It's a rotation. That's why, we want to kind of, when we do these type of deals here, we'd love for some of our partners here, some of our pundits here on our channel. We would like the chef to come on and do a Saturday once in a while. We'd like to take a Saturday or Canary, give us some time. My throat bothers me at time as well. And I'm not, and I don't do this for a living. I'm an electrician. Chris is an electrician. We're all electricians. But we would like a little rotation. That's why we ask our partners. That's why we like to see if you guys are inspired out there that would like to join our channel to do these reviews on it once a week. With us, we will we'll for the first few ones, we'll be behind the scenes and we'll let you talk and rotate. That's what makes the Sports Jedi Network. It's not just about us. It's not just me and Chris. It's about us here, getting going. We got a sponsor, Dude Wipes, who is our sponsor. We want to thank Dude Wipes. Don't forget to check out their new products, Dumpin' Spice. And yes, that is real. Dumpin' Spice for Dude Wipes. Yes, Dude Wipes on the Sports Jedi Network out there wiping out the competition. We want to thank them. We got some new sponsors coming soon in the works. Not official, in the works. Hopefully we get some new ones that we could say and continue to grow. Hopefully we get some WWE talent, man. We want to interview some WWE talent, man. We put the requests. We've done the right. We're doing our homework. I'm not going to Osaka, Japan for the credentials. I'm not going to Scotland, not yet, unless if that sponsor that we think comes through. But I don't think right now. For now, and it's just I try to go to No Mercy. Can't get a sniff of No Mercy. In Fort Lauderdale, that would have been a nice get in my brand new Volkswagen and head over to Fort Lauderdale. 2 hours would have been cool, but I don't know. Let's go. So. We appreciate everyone. We thank everyone here on a Saturday evening. Thank you for your time. We appreciate everyone again. Many, many blessings. Just let's enjoy wrestling. Let's continue to have a fun time enjoying wrestling from our fans. Again, if we're not your cup of coffee, no problem. You know what? I don't like Sanka. I'm a Butelo guy. I get it. I get it, guys. I get it. So we appreciate one. We thank you guys. Chris, man, thanks again for a good one.
Oh yeah, man. This is always a fun time. We've been doing this strong now for a long time, and it's always a great time. Always some great things coming up in the week that we even save a lot to make sure we get it all right here on this show. And you guys showed up today. Great audience today. You guys showed up, and appreciate all you guys. Kev, everybody here at the network. Enjoy the first day of football tomorrow and go Steelers.
Let's go Jets. Jets. Jets.